Silly season feels like it's getting closer and closer every single day now. And this time around, I want to talk about everybody's favourite daddy's boy. It's Lance Stroll. He's one of many drivers whose contract is up at the end of this 2022 season. And could this be the start of the end for the Canadian in Formula One? Because Aston Martin find themselves in a very awkward situation coming into this season. Let's not forget that this is a team that completely abandoned the 2021 campaign while it looked like they were battling for fifth place with Alpine and AlphaTauri. They completely gave up on that and said to themselves they were going to focus on the 2022 regulations. And to be fair, it kind of made sense. Aston Martin coming in as this new ownership, they wanted to flex their muscles and really show what they could do with this Aston Martin team. We all expected them to jump up to the top of the midfield and maybe even cause a stir with the top teams as well. Hasn't quite gone that way though. They currently find themselves 8th place in the Constructors' Championship, 16 points overall so far this season. And actually, if they end up finishing in 8th place, it will be the lowest that the team has finished in the past 5 seasons since Stroll has been in Formula One. We have to remember that Aston Martin took over from a Racing Point team that had just finished 4th place in the Constructors' Championship in 2020. And I know that we have to take that 4th place with a little bit of a pinch of salt. There was obviously the pink Mercedes controversy. They were docked 15 points over the course of that season for effectively copying the Mercedes car from the season before, but the green Red Bull that they have this season doesn't look anywhere close to the 4th fastest car on the grid. They are miles behind the Alpines, the AlphaTauris, the Alfa Romeos of this world, and let's face it, since the team has turned green, it really hasn't looked great for them. Last season, they clearly didn't understand the Mercedes car that they'd copied beforehand. They couldn't iterate on it. They couldn't seem to make it any better, and that's one of the reasons I think they gave up on the 2021 season. They just couldn't seem to find a way to make the car quicker, and now coming into 2022, they've done a similar sort of thing. They've tried to make their own car. They've come into a few races. They've hit to Barcelona and they've realized the Red Bull car looks pretty good. Let's just copy the side pods of that. And let's talk about the 2022 season in a bit more detail. Now, obviously it didn't help that Sebastian Vettel missed the first 2 Grand Prix of the season. But with that being said, the Aston Martin's pace has still been nowhere near where we've expected it to be. Q3 appearances have been few and far between, especially for Lance Stroll in particular, who's only managed to get into Q3 once in Miami, leading to Stroll having this second worst average qualifying position just behind Nicholas Latifi. And to be honest, that's only the tip of the iceberg when it comes to Lance Stroll. He has not made 2022 easy for himself. As we saw in Bahrain, he gets out-qualified by Nico Hülkenberg, who's stepping in for Sebastian Vettel. In Saudi Arabia, he makes contact with Alex Albon that was easily avoidable in my opinion. In Australia, he put it into the wall in FP3, and then in qualifying, made contact with Nicholas Latifi. In Miami, he made contact with Kevin Magnussen after what was looking like a very promising race. In Spain, he crashed into Yuki Tsunoda. In Monaco, he hit the barriers on the formation lap. And in Azerbaijan, in the space of 1 lap, he hit the wall not once, but twice. It hasn't been a great start to the season. That's 6 weekends in which Lance Stroll has made contact with either car or barrier in just 9 races. Although having said all that, Lance Stroll has actually only DNF'd 1 time over the course of the season so far. He's finished in 10th place 3 times, meaning he's picked up 3 points over the season, sitting him in 18th place in the drivers' standings, only ahead of the 2 drivers that haven't picked up any points over the course of the season so far, and behind Sebastian Vettel, his teammate, who's on 13 points in 14th place in the Drivers' Championship as well. Although neither of the 2 Aston Martin drivers have an average finish to write home about. They've both been well outside the points more often than they have been inside of them. And yes, it looks like they're taking steps forward. And even though they've just put themselves in front of Haas after the Canadian Grand Prix in terms of the Constructors' Championship, they still look a long way off the rest of the pack. Therefore, I think it's fair to say that the once pole sitter is not on top form when it comes to the 2022 season, and actually I'd go as far to say it's probably the worst season we've seen from him since he joined the sport in 2017. And if I was Aston Martin, personally, I'd be starting to look at other drivers that might be available and start considering my options for replacing Lance Stroll into 2023. But luckily for Lance, I'm not in charge of the Aston Martin team. His dad is, so therefore the Aston Martin contract for 2023 should be a fairly open and shut case for Lawrence Stroll and Lance Stroll to get sorted out, probably on holiday with one another, right? Well, maybe not, because Lawrence Stroll all of a sudden has become this massive tyrant of the Formula One grid. There's been stories about him putting incredible pressure on the team to perform and expecting a race-winning car without actually putting in the groundwork that it takes throwing infinite finances, people from other teams, along with trying to fast track these design elements into the car. I've touched on the pink Mercedes, I've touched on the green Red Bull, that they've been trying to install these other teams' philosophies super quickly, and they're trying to fast track themselves to the top of the grid through this copy and paste method of developing, but not really putting in the philosophy, and it hasn't quite hit the mark yet. And I genuinely think instilling this culture of finding shortcuts won't lend the team to actual success in the future. Don't get me wrong, I was really excited to see what Aston Martin could do over the next couple of seasons with a brand new factory coming in, with them building the team around probably the most intelligent driver we've got on the grid right now in Sebastian Vettel. He's effectively an engineer in the car for them. They had these incredible people moving from Red Bull and Alpine into the Aston Martin team, building a foundation that they could work off of. But it just feels like Lance Stroll has already given up on this venture. It feels like he's already ready to sell the team to the highest bidder. And if Lance Stroll moves out of the way, I think that safety net that Lance Stroll has of his dad owning the team being whipped out from underneath him, on top of the fact that his performances this year have been absolutely nowhere near where they need to be, I think his Formula One seat could also disappear too. Which is why I think predicting where Lance Stroll is going to be in 2023 is probably the most difficult seat to predict of the entire grid, because it's no way down to his performances. It's no way down to the standings. It's in no way down to whether he deserves that seat based on previous. It is entirely down to politics. And we don't really get that much access to that as Formula One fans. We don't get to see the behind the scenes at Aston Martin, where Lawrence Stroll and Aston Martin are delving into whether they want to work together in the future, whether or not they're going to stay connected. If his dad stays, obviously he stays. If his dad doesn't, I think it gets very complicated for Lance Stroll very, very quickly. But I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you think Lance Stroll is going to stay for the 2023 season? And if he does, will it still be at Aston Martin? I'd love to know what you think. Whilst you're down there, leave a like on this video if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel as well. We're heading towards 8,000 subscribers. I'd love you to join the journey. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time.